Basketball fans, we're back. It's the final round of the playoffs, and I'm here none other than my special guest today, Aravind. Aravind, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
So special guest today, but he's not alone. We have another special guest joining us here today, actually. We're connecting live with him. He's a 9-year veteran of fantasy basketball, finishing third place in his rookie season back in 2010. And now today he finds himself in the championship rounds. I'm talking about no other than Brian. Brian, welcome to the show.
Brian, what's going on?
Hey guys, this is Team Flatter tuning in from the workplace. What's good? Before I begin the segment, I want to thank Jimmy for letting me be on his show. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Jimmy.
Hey, we're happy to have you, Brian. I know you're busy at work, but thanks again for taking a bit of time to join us here today.
Brian, I had a question for you. You gotta let me know how you managed to beat Kalen's team somehow last week.
As you guys already know, I was able to beat Team Wacko Goslings 7-2, even without the likes of Kyrie Irving and the GOAT, Dion Waiters. Honestly, I was a little worried throughout the matchup just because I knew Clay and KD were going to come back from injuries. KD came back the earlier half of the matchup, and Clay came back the latter half of the matchup. I was pretty happy though because KD got ejected his first game back, but that's just what snakes deserve, I guess. Sorry, Kellen. But the more interesting thing I want to talk about is the matchup between Team Trust the Rebuild and Team Delma Don't Talk. I was following this matchup pretty closely to see who I would be playing against, and it turned out to be Team Trust the Rebuild. It was close all the way up to the end, and luckily enough, Team Trust the Rebuild was able to get the win. Deadman had some star players resting in the beginning. I think Harden and Capella were resting the first game of the matchup. And in hindsight, if you look at the stats, that wouldn't have changed the outcome, I guess. But it's hard to say because hindsight is always 20/20, they say. Booker was also injured for Deadman, but then Trust the Rebuild also has some key injuries. So it's really hard to say even if both teams were healthy.
Brian, I hear where you're coming from. Injuries happen to everybody, and it was close. I gotta say, going into that last day, I don't know if I was gonna come out with the win, but the players came on top. Ben Simmons benefited from Joel Embiid being out, but
Yeah, well, we had no idea going in on Sunday. Actually, Sunday morning. I was talking to Ben, the owner of his team, and we were discussing this matchup. It was 5-4, right?
Yep.
You were in the lead, but then we had 3 or so categories that were really up in the air, right? We
That's
had
true.
Just to review, points were a bit close.
Yeah.
The free throws were right there.
Steals were there
Steals
also.
right there, and turnovers actually maybe in 4 categories that it was really hard to say coming into that last day, and it could have went either way, right?
It's true. It's true. Even at the end of the day, at the end of the matchup, I won by 4 turnovers. That could have won either way. And June won by 2 steals. That could have gone either way. And the free throws were .007 off. Anything could have happened.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about those injuries and like a bit of luck involved in that. Like, do you think you got you're a bit luckier than June in that matchup overall, or?
Well, I wouldn't say luck. My players came out and played.
Okay.
Nikola Jokic came out strong in this week, and Ben Simmons had a great week as well. Other guys contributed, and it looked like my team just was resilient. The young guys came out and played, and they came through at the end of the day. James Harden faced off against the Spurs.
That was a tough one, right?
Which really helped.
We were talking a bit about James Harden's stats. That field goal didn't look that good. He missed the game as well. He only played 2 games in that previous week, so
That's
definitely missing a bit of stats there. So you can see the differences that are really playing a factor.
Tough, missing out your best player in a key matchup. You hate to see a team play without its key guys, but it is what it is. Maybe I face June next year.
Yeah, exactly. June, that's his rookie year as well, and he finished first overall. I mean, in the season. So
it's a great season.
Yeah, I think that shows that how well he's doing. So we wish him the best for next year. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge, some of your rookie players, you have some rookie of the year candidates here,
Yep.
really performing strong. So maybe it's not totally luck. What do you think, Brian?
I think Team Trust the Rebuild has been pretty lucky the latter half, especially because of the injuries to Boston and, how well Ben Simmons has been doing and so forth. He also picked up my boy, Alfred Camino, who I dropped a few weeks back. I don't really regret the drop though. I'm sure he'll be a great help to my team if Trust the Rebuild does decide to keep him. But I digress.
Here we go. February 25th. So Aminu for Jeremy Lamb.
This is 2 months ago. This guy's talking about a pickup 2 months ago. This
What?
not even his player anymore, man.
Well, I don't know. How did Aminu end up doing for you?
Well, he played great, but even then, you can't just say that's like me saying I picked up a guy in December. Oh, that's my guy. Like that's ridiculous.
Pickups come and go. I think the one thing that we have to discuss later on is, there's a big pickup battle between Albert and Ben over Alex Len. I mean,
Oh yeah,
when
that was a battle.
when Alex Len starts picking it up, that's going to be a big argument there of who really, found that player
Who
first.
is Alex Len's real owner?
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. But thanks for that comment, Brian. We're just gonna go to a quick commercial. We'll be right back, okay? All right, guys, welcome back from the commercial break. Thanks for sticking around with us. So let's take a bit of time right now to review, the championship matchup, of course. So
Yes.
what better way to start than the history itself? So for our viewers here, actually, if you wanted to see what this matchup could look like, look no other place than the very first week of fantasy, because
Yeah.
week one, that was the first time that these two teams encountered each other. And what happened there? It was a 7-2 win for Brian. And then we had week 12, so the new year, 2018. What better way to start than another win for Brian, also a 7-2 victory. So the season series between these two teams, Brian has it 2-0. What do you think about this, Aravind? What do you have to say?
Well, let's just say the first week, first matchup of the season, no one really knows what's going on head to head. They don't know about acquisitions. They don't know about
Brian knew
games
what was going
played.
on.
Yeah, he picked up 3 guys. I've seen that too. But regardless, my team is all young guys. Donovan Mitchell wasn't really playing. He played up like 20 minutes in 3 games. He was coming off the bench. The rest of the team is still young. Jason Tatum, Ben Simmons, they're all just coming into form. I don't really know what to expect from them, to be honest. Any production was better than no production, I guess. And he beat me. Beat me fair and square. LeBron James.
Sure. Yeah, he had a monster. Yeah.
Those guys killed it. So can't fight that. That was a good first week for Brian.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Then so New Year comes around.
Yeah.
Rookies had some time to develop. Players are running out. We get a better feel for our roster. Some free agency moves are made, of course. So but again, that becomes a 7-2 matchup.
Yeah, see, this one I had to give to Brian. His team was just outright better, completely better. DeRozan's 52-point night was in that week.
Oh yes.
We all know that one against the Bucks. So DeRozan was player of the week for sure in that one.
Yeah.
Dropped like about 107 points in that week alone. So to beat that, it was going to be tough. LeBron obviously had a great week as well, and just bad luck running into Brian on that week. I got slapped. That was a definite dominant win for Brian in that one.
So then we had those 2 weeks, players really going off. So, you have your excuses there. What's the excuse going to be for this matchup?
This matchup, no excuses. Winner takes all. The best team wins. Hopefully, I can get this one win off Brian and stop a season sweep. But it's going to be tough without all my big guns, especially Blake Griffin going down. So we'll see.
And that's the big difference between the matchup before and now. You had Cousins, and we talked about the trade in the last episode. You had Cousins up to that point. Now you don't have Cousins. You've replaced him with Blake Griffin and Al Horford, but those guys are down.
I also lost Dante Cunningham for all you Dante Cunningham fans out there. So I pretty much flipped both DeMarcus Cousins and Dante Cunningham into Al Horford and Blake Griffin. That Kyrie Irving trade, the Kyrie Irving injury really hurts Al Horford because Al Horford's not producing anywhere close to what he's expected, and as those all-star numbers that he used to have are not there no more. And Man, Blake Griffin goes down.
Yeah, it's a tough injury actually. He was doing
Bad
pretty
timing.
good going in, close to triple double numbers
Yeah.
in some games, right? Hmm.
Well, it is what it is. He has Kyrie out, Blake out. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, both teams they seem pretty even on the injury front there.
Mhm.
But I'd like to discuss. Brian does have that 2-0 victory. Brian, what are your thoughts on this matchup so far?
What do you think?
I actually think Aravind's team improved significantly since then. A little bit because of him knowing who to pick up, and a lot because of luck. I mean, if he does end up winning, I mean, quite honestly, it's simply because Kyrie Irving was out, or is out, I should say. He made some good pickups in Scary Terry, and Tatum's improvement has been pretty much amazing. Ben Simmons has been doing extremely well. Donovan Mitchell. The reason why I say that if he does win, it's because of Kyrie, is because with the injuries to Boston, they have no leading scorer in a sense. So anyone can step up. They've both been doing well, and with Kyrie there, their efficiency goes down and so forth. So uh, I think Kyrie being out really affected our matchup in a very negative way with me. But regardless, I think I'll still pull out the win though. I mean, it'll probably be closer, 5-4 or 6-3, maybe 5-4-1, somewhere around there. Uh, if you look at the stats last week, if you compare the stats, I mean, it's a silly thing to do, but I would have won 5-4, so he's lucky that he didn't have to play against me then. But it's hard to say because in a week and a half, lots of things can happen, right? Especially near the end of the season where key players get rested and anything goes really. Some person on your team could have a great night, maybe a bad night. It doesn't matter. Anything will affect the matchup significantly. But I really do believe that I'll pull out with the win.
All right, thanks for that insight, Brian, and good comments as well as why you think he's gonna win. Because when you think differently, well, if you guys did face each other last week, like Brian said, he would have won 5-4, right?
Yeah, but that all depends on who you pick up, right? Because I could just pick up like 3 random guys to get me a boards category or something like that.
Well, he would have done the same.
Yeah, but you don't really know because he picked up guys to like balance to get some stats as well. So I'll just counteract that too.
Okay, well, we'll talk about pickups a bit later, but let's take a look at some of the season stats over here because in the end, it's 9 categories. You got to win at least 5 of them to take home the championship, right?
That's true.
Let's take a look at field goal. Over the course of the season, Brian is a perennial all-star at field goal. He's ranked number 1. Has some really good players holding down the fort. You finished 5th in field goal. Do you think you can maybe take it over from him, in this matchup, or is this kind of a toss-up category that you're willing to lose?
I think this is one of the categories that Brian dominates in, and I don't see him losing this category, to be honest. So I'll probably leave that category to Brian. Yeah. Some smoke screens right there. Smoke screens. I might take that category. You never know.
That's a hard one to say, but free throw as well. Maybe this one's a bit clear. Brian has people such as Dwight Howard weighing down his free throw. You have Ben Simmons as well. He's not really the best free throw shooter.
Yeah, but LeBron James a brick from the line this season. thank you, LeBron James, and he gets to the line like crazy compared to Ben Simmons, who doesn't really go to the line as much. So I think that's a category I can definitely win.
Yeah, and as well, Brian has some players weighing him down. Let's take a look at rebounds over here. You both did really well in rebounds, Brian finished first at the end of the season, and you finished second. I mean, these are some pretty impressive rebound numbers. Of course, some things have changed. We have DeMarcus Cousins back on your team.
Who's a monster on the boards, yeah.
So things have changed a bit. Do you think you can still take this one?
I think the new acquisitions I made actually get me more rebounds than what I gave up. Dante Cunningham was getting a lot of boards, but
oh my God,
the addition of Al Horford and Blake Griffin combined probably get more rebounds than DeMarcus Cousins and Dante Cunningham together.
That's true.
So if they play more games, they'll probably get a lot more rebounds this time around.
Exactly. And then we have some categories that you tend to dominate. Assists and steals. You finished first, at the end of the season in both of those categories. Brian, he did quite well, but I think this is some categories that we have to look a bit closely, especially with the point guard change. Kyrie's injured. You have people like Scary Terry tearing it up. I mean, there's a lot of people that this can go either way, I think, in assists.
Yeah, definitely. But these are 2 categories I must win. For me to win this matchup, assists and steals are 2 categories I must have on lock. or else this matchup can go haywire.
Yeah, it's really important because Brian still has strong categories besides that, such as
Yeah.
blocks. He's dominating blocks. You finished middle towards the last in blocks per the season. Right?
Honestly, Al Horford barely averaged like 2-3 blocks this week. I'm telling you right now. I called Boston, told Brad Stevens to get him more
Yeah.
minutes.
How's
Yeah.
Collins gonna do in this matchup?
Oh, John Collins. Man, he recently got nicked up a little bit too. But he's getting more minutes. Hopefully he gets a block and a half every game. Let's just cross our fingers for that.
Yeah.
But it's a tough category.
So yeah, then we're gonna round it out with turnovers. You both finished dead last in turnovers.
Yep.
You're the only one in the group to break the 2,000 turnovers mark. I mean,
Yes, go.
Congratulations for that.
Historic mark.
Yeah, we'll have to check the season stats. But yeah, 2,000 was a lot of turnovers. Brian, he finished second last, but that's still a 110 turnover difference that we saw in terms of the season stats you can see right over here.
Yeah, but that's also one of the factors of trading DeMarcus Cousins away. He was a high turnover guy.
Yeah.
So trading DeMarcus Cousins also helped in that aspect. But if you don't go out and try making those risky plays, you don't get turnovers. But that's how you get assists too. So it's a pro and a con.
It's a lot to look at. And then when we round out, the most eye-catching category, points, you guys were finishing right next to each other.
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show that this is going to be a really exciting matchup to look forward to. I think all the fans are really going to keep their eyes peeled and to see what exactly happens, who's going to be crowned, the new champion, right? I mean, there's a lot to look forward to. And in my opinion, what it's going to come down to is, the free agency, right?
Yeah.
Pickups and acquisitions, that's really important. And why are you laughing?
DJ Augustine.
Okay, well, Brian did pick up, our favorite player of the JT Zone, DJ, the GOAT.
The GOAT, DJ Augustine. Can't believe he's not on a roster, but Brian made sure he picked him up, I think, like 2 days ago or yesterday.
Yeah, well.
Great pickup.
Yeah,
Great pickup.
Well, Brian's still listening in. Did you pick DJ Augustine intentionally? What's the point of this pickup, Brian? It gives a bit more insight.
The GOAT. The GOAT.
So if you guys watched the last episode, Aravind was trash talking DJ even after he scored over 30 points for some odd reason. I'm pretty excited for this matchup, mostly because of this point. I wanted to see him in the finals because I picked up DJ last night because I knew I was going to play Aravind. And I wanted to beat Aravind with DJ on my team. I'm hoping that when I do beat him, I want him to change his team name from Trust the Rebuild to Trust the DJ. That'll be great if he does that. But I think DJ will have a positive effect on my team. He's been pretty consistent of late. Gets me assists, points. Not too many points, but he gets me what I need essentially.
And there you have it from Brian itself. That ain't no April Fool's joke. He picked up DJ for a reason, and it's gonna make a difference in this matchup, don't you think?
Oh man, thank goodness he picked him up. I was scared. I was trying to pick him up myself. Man, I was on that waiver wire waiting for DJ Augustine, but the GOAT's gonna kill it, man. He's killing it. And trust the DJ. Listen here, if I was gonna say trust the DJ,
this ain't 2K18.
DeAndre Jordan better be on my team, not DJ Augustine.
Oh,
I'm telling you that now. But it's gonna be a great matchup. Definitely love to see what happens over this week? 9 days?
A week and a half. Yeah, it'll end on next Wednesday.
It's gonna be great.
It's a great matchup to look forward to. Brian, I know you're short on time, so thanks again for joining us. Do you have any last comments?
Thanks, Brian.
I wish Team Trust the Rebuild all the best, and thanks for having me again. See you guys soon. Peace.
Well, Brian, good luck to you as well. Never mind all the trash talk. All I want is a great matchup to end off this great fantasy season. Wish you all the best. May the best team win.
I'm sure that we'll have it. Brian, thanks again for being on the JT Zone. We're going to go for a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back, spend a little time talking about the consolation ladders and how those teams are looking. See you guys soon. All right, we're back to the JT Zone. Thanks, guys. I'm here with our special guest once again, Aravind of Trust the Rebuild.
Let's go.
Thanks again, Brian, for joining us. We're going to spend a bit of time to talk about the consolation ladders. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's real dedication. Our league, 9 years strong, and we still have a somewhat competitive consolation ladder because
Yeah.
people do want to say at the end of the season, I finished blank place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
people
true.
people do remember where they finish. And so let's take a look into some of the matchups that we have. This is the JT zone, so we got to talk about my matchup first. So
Yep, for sure.
I don't know if you guys been paying attention, but throughout these playoffs, I've won my two matchups, despite my big injuries to Kawhi Leonard,
Yep.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Huge.
My guys are still doing it. The youngest team in the league. There's a
Yep.
lot of good stuff to look forward to
Yep.
on my side. But I have a big matchup right now with I believe it's John Sai, I think, of Agent Zero. So that will be a good matchup to look into. I'm hoping my guys can do well, but John has some really good players to watch out for at
Yeah,
the same time.
definitely.
And some other matchups to look forward to. I mean, we have the Battle of the Losers here. We have Team Alexi or Team Brett versus Lamelo's shooting form. That's kind of a should we spend time on that matchup?
I don't know. Those are the two worst teams and the two one of the I think both the most inactive members of our fantasy season, respectively 11 and 12, both of them. I expect like this matchup should just end right here at 0-0-9. I don't think these guys even play their players. They should just bench everybody and like no one play and just call it
And see who
a
wins
draw.
from that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too. But in the last consolation ladder matchup, we have automatic transition. John Wang
Yep.
versus who's that team?
Dark Horse.
The Dark Horse. Another one of our kind of active in the beginning, but I think as soon as he saw that Gordon Hayward injury, he just turned it off.
He pretty much ended the season right there too. I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I think the real question is, do we think John Wang's team can take on the three teams that we just talked about? Can he take on Dark Horse, LaMelo, and Team Alexi? I think he could.
Yeah, I think he could, but the only problem I see with John Wang's team is injuries. Both Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler are both injured. Not to mention George Hill and Marcus Smart, who are key role players for his team. I would say Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry are pretty much his top two picks, top two contributors. So for him to beat a team at this point, it's pretty much up in the air. Especially Dark Horse. Dark Horse has John Wall back, Marcus Gasol, Aldridge playing at an all-time high for the Spurs. So it's gonna be a tough matchup for John Wang.
Exactly. But one thing I think John Wang has a lot to look forward to next season. I mean, when you on paper, like there's a lot of strong names out there. Like we talked about Curry, we talked about Butler.
Yep.
He has people like Drummond. He has DeAndre Jordan. I mean, think Paul Millsap.
Bobby Portis. He's coming up big in Chicago too now.
Exactly. I think John Wang really has his affairs in order in terms of what stats he wants to dominate and how he's going to do next season. So a lot to look forward there. Reminder.
Norman Powell though. He still believes in the Norm God. Hopefully he comes alive in this playoffs.
Yeah, we the Norm. We need Norman Powell to come up strong.
Yep.
Last thing I just want to cover for the consolation ladder is just to remember, based on the rules, the rookie draft for next season, it's not based on what order you finish. It's going to be completely randomized. So you can hope that the teams are going to be crossing their fingers that they get a good draft slot so they can get the next best rookie, right?
No point in tanking in this.
Exactly that. And with that, we're going to move over to the winners consolation bracket.
Yep.
And let's briefly take a look into the matchups over there. We'll just take a brief break first.
All right.
All right, and we're back to the JT zone. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. So the winners consolation bracket, we have a lot of teams here. The 6 good teams that made it to the playoffs. A lot has happened, and now we have the final 4 teams who aren't in the finals, but they're fighting for the places between 3 and 6th place, which are important as well for bragging rights, right? Especially that really coveted 3rd place. I want to start off with the matchup between Ben and Albert. The matchup that was too good that the fantasy gods demanded to see it twice, right?
Rematch.
We had just last week. Albert was able to win 6-3.
Yep.
There have been some new developments since then, and the main one is that Albert's been dealing with a lot of big injuries. It looks like Isaiah Thomas, all of his friends decided to join him in the O status, and so that's where they are now. You have people like Joel Embiid, T.J. Warren, Conley, Levine, all those guys as of this moment have that O status on them. So it's gonna be real tough for Albert to put together a good performance this week. Ben is looking in a bit better shape. He does have some guys day to day.
A little nicks and knacks here and there, but only 3 DTDs, and one of them not so much of a factor in Jermichael Green, but Chris Paul and Jeff Teague handled his assist category, so that's going to be a tough one for him to win without those two guys. And honestly, I expect Ben to win this matchup, but
Mhm.
because of Albert's all his injuries, but I Carl Anthony Towns has been putting in a lot of work for Albert's team, and Paul George and Eric Bledsoe could do some damage as well.
Albert certainly has some heavy hitters left. Ben can respond with a few of his own. He has, Giannis is still
Big
fighting
man.
strong.
Mhm.
Some other guys trying to make their time shine. As like the season goes down, rookies such as DSJ, they're gonna get a bit
Mhm. Yep.
more room to shine. So JJ Redick is doing well at the
Yeah.
same time.
He's
So
on fire.
I think it's a matchup to keep eyes on. And like I said, it's the matchup that the people demanded, and we're gonna get to see it again
Rematch
in-
round 2.
in the final week. And now the third place matchup to look at. So this is
Wow.
between Kalen and June, right?
Yep.
Denmon Don't Talk versus Wacko Gosling. Aravind, what are your thoughts on this matchup? Just looking at a glance.
Well, these were the two guys who I expected to actually make it to the final. I didn't really see me or Brian making it, but injuries happened and they fell out, and as they
Mhm.
battled for the third spot.
Mhm.
But it's an interesting matchup to say the least. Both teams have superstars on the team. One led by James Harden, the other led by KD, who just came back, and KD and his friends are all back. So Klay Thompson's back too. So I expect them to do a lot of damage. I still expect June's team to win this one though, because CJ McCollum's playing well,
Mhm.
James Harden playing well, and just an overall solid roster.
For sure. Yeah.
Devin Booker being injured might change things up a little bit, but what do you think?
I think I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I mean, he has a lot of strong players going through, and of course, you have good knowledge of his team after just
Yeah.
facing him. Kalen, he's had a rough time throughout the playoffs. We talked a bit about Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
He's not really helping out Kalen over here, just going out and just getting ejected.
A waste of a game right there. That could have been helpful.
That's definitely a tough pill to swallow over there. But I think both teams are quite strong. It'll be a very interesting third place matchup to
Definitely.
see how it goes. Kalen the veteran versus June the rookie. I mean, this is a great contrast between both teams.
Even finishing third in your rookie seasons, it's huge. So
Mhm.
June's probably looking forward to that one.
Yeah, exactly. And Kalen, he's a veteran of finishing in the top 3 of himself. This is not his first
Definitely.
time where, that top 3 position is within his reach. In his experience, he's had a lot of good finishes. So we'll see where he finishes off this season, right?
For sure.
So with that being said, we're just going on a brief commercial break. And actually, the JT Zone has been getting a bit more popular these days.
Yeah.
A few of our viewers have been trying to interact with us. I got a special kind of message from one of the other owners I want to read out after the commercial. Get your thoughts on it from Aravind. So let's see. We'll be right back.
Hopefully it's not anything bad.
We'll see. See you guys in a bit. Welcome back to the JT Zone, guys. One thing I want to remind you all is that the JT Zone is supported by the JT Dome. The JT Dome is open every spring, every summer, many years strong.
Straight ballers come out.
We have a lot of highlights there. Hopefully we can put together, a little, mixtape, right? JT mixtape going on. Who needs the other mixtapes that are out there on YouTube? These ones.
Yeah.
A lot of good memories on this one, and hopefully we can get a lot of people to come out this year. So open, spring, summer, come out, guys. Looking forward to seeing you there. I've been practicing a few of my shots up myself.
That early work, and check the numbers, Mr. Triple Double right here. So
I'm the top. Actually, no, the top rebounder is the legend Spice himself. The guy who averages 28 points, 28 boards a game. He's
one game special.
He's a monster. Not in fantasy, but maybe in real life.
Don't forget my boy Kripan Sharma chucking up 8 threes a game. Killing it.
I'm not ready to fetch the ball anymore. How can you throw the ball over the thing 2 times in a row? That was the worst.
Shooter shoot. I'm telling you.
Shooter shoot for sure. But that's just a side note going on here. Like I said, yeah, we're getting a lot of viewer interaction here, and actually have a message himself from the 5-time champion. I gotta put my glasses on for this.
Okay.
He sent me a little message. I asked him what were his thoughts on the matchup between Aravind and
Who? Brian?
Brian. Sorry about that, Brian. Anyway, so he asked him his thoughts on what this matchup was.
Yeah.
And this is what Albert weighed in, the 5-time champion here. After 5 years of watching from the throne, I'm ready to give it up for a year to Team Flat Earth. Let's be real. What's John Collins gonna do for Aravind besides give him one block a game? Plus, I'm cheering on for Burke's sanity to continue happening. I'll be back next year to take it back, Brian. So that's Albert's thoughts. You want to weigh in quickly, Aravind? What do you think of that?
You know what? Let me tell you guys straight to the camera right now. No one had belief in this team. No one had belief in this team even making the finals, let alone making it to the playoffs. Well, I'm telling you right now, Albert, you may be a five-time champ, five-time straight champ, but this is a whole different season. This is head-to-head. We've never done something like this before. And don't doubt John Collins. John Collins could be a young Dwight Howard, young Amari Stoudemire for all you know. And I'm telling you, these young guys on my squad, they're going to come out to play.
I think regardless, it's been an amazing fantasy season. Lots of great highlights. I think no one in the draft room will forget the classic Collins moment. I was there personally. I was talking to Aravind on the phone, and he just types Collins. And let me search this guy up. And types Collins in the chat.
I heard about him. I didn't know where he was going to go. But thankfully, when I typed it up, people thought I was referring to Zach Collins, not John Collins.
Well,
I stole him there.
Looks like a good pick now. Thanks again, Aravind, for taking the time to be on the show.
Anytime.
Thanks to all viewers of the JT Zone. I hope you enjoyed episode 2, and we'll be back again. Definitely some more. And I hope you enjoyed this last week of fantasy. Thanks again for all your participation. Hopefully, we see you again for our 10th year of fantasy. And if not, I'll see you in the JT Dome, the big 1-0. Peace out, guys. Take care.